We're in a content slop epidemic on this app.
I think the only way I could get into katseye is if I genuinely separated the art from the artist. I think they have a few good hits.
Katseye has horrible music. It's what's become the viral opinion of the week on here ever since Internet Girl was debuted.
Are brain rot and absurdist memes just modern day Dadaism?
I think recently something weighing on my spirit is the state of media and content. More than ever, we are scrolling through Sora video after VO3 video after nauseatingly overindulgent mukbang, all paired to an AI TikTok Brazilian funk song. Even with an algorithm more advanced and more acclimated to your echo chamber than ever, it's seemingly harder than ever to wade through the muck to find completely human and intentional content. Like we're living in a time where brain rot is king, memes mean more and more with less and less, and we're beginning to like the beat a little bit more than we like the actual song. This is all to say that the state of content must be addressed. Now, I saw this TikTok that kickstarted this train of thought, and you know what? Yeah!
Saw a TikTok that was talking a lot about how current meme culture and TikTok humor like 6'7" and like Skibbity Toilet Riz, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth, is a form of modern day Dadaism in the sense that it's kind of like an absurd, nonsensical reaction to the chaos of the world right now. I was talking to a friend who studied art history in college, and she was saying that there are a lot of parallels, but this conclusion might be misguided, and so I decided to find out for myself. So first of all, what is Dadaism? Dadaism is an art movement that was formed in the aftermath of World War I in Zurich, and it was both anti-bourgeois, and generally associated with the radical left.
It really got me thinking, especially in that last part about the lack of intentionality and randomness in Dadaism, and how that applies to our modern meme landscape. Like, I know that TikTok explained it, but you may be asking, like, Rumi, what is Dadaism? Infamously called the anti-art movement, Dadaism developed out of the disgust and resentment from the bloodshed and horror of World War I, which began in 1914 and ended in 1918. Dadaism's main purpose, though, was the challenge of the social norms of society, and to purposefully make art that would shock, confuse, and or outrage people. It thrived on counterattacking everything that was conventional in society, and the Dadaists, as they called themselves, considered themselves the rebels of the art world, and later inspired major movements such as surrealism and even punk rock. Yes! Come on, Beyonce! Although Dadaism originally started as a protest of the First World War, it soon after grew into its own cultural phenomenon, permeating attitudes thought to originally be taboo, offensive, or childish. Are we seeing any similarities to traditional Dadaism to where we're at today? Essentially, this art form was born as a sort of celebration of meaninglessness, or nonsense, thus Sabrina Carpenter, in response to such serious and horrific times in the world. And the motivations of this form were, of course, political. And I think that's where there is a disconnect, is that memes we're using today aren't inherently political. But dare I say, perhaps in response to the seemingly always political upheaval and turmoil we face in these never-ending, unprecedented times? Perhaps. That might be a little bit of a stretch, I know, but please stay with me. And whatever your thoughts and opinions of Dadaism may be, it feels like there is a slight parallel running in what we're seeing in terms of visual language and expression online, or in other words, memes, with many current trending memes and arguably media being absurd in nature and also just kind of meaningless. And when I say that, I know that I sound unconchopped, and I'm sorry, I hate to be unconchopped. I really hate seeing both of those things. But please look me dead in the face and tell me that 6'7" we are I wish I had a bag of chicks beefing with my chick while I'm in jail. Labubu means something to not only you, but to a random 60-year-old in the street. Like the way I'm hearing everyone, and everyone being articles, TikToks, and just people describe it, is that all this is just meaningless. And that there's no reason to go further to ascribe a certain meaning to it. Right! And when it comes to 6'7" specifically, I've heard a lot of people describe it as like 21. If you remember the Vine 21. But like 21 had more Vine cultural context, so to speak. I know that 6'7" comes from the sporting world, but has migrated its way over to everything else. So, you know, there's that. Or hey, there's even the LA Public Library explaining it, which is an amazing reminder to use your libraries.
Hi, I have a question. My nephews keep going on about 6'7". What does that even mean?
I'm not too familiar with that topic, but from what I understand, December 2024, Philly rapper Skriller came out with the song Doot Doot, where he sings 6'7", which some speculate is a reference to the police code 1067 to investigate it, though police codes vary by agency.
Or maybe none of this is that serious because kids are kids in every generation. But that's too easy of an explanation, you know, on Imurgency. We do know that it is that deep. And we're definitely going to get into that in the current content slop timeline that we're living in right now. So for all of my art history buffs, my critical thinkers, or just anyone with eyes and ears over the past year or so, sign up in the comments to your thoughts on Dadaism and let's get educational. And when we're talking about Dadaism and how it's about the meaninglessness and absurdity in the face of very serious times, could this extend into the state of entertainment today? This might be a newsflash to some of y'all, but we are living in some serious times, and it's very easy to seriously weigh on your mental health. And the state of the world is already enough. That's not even accounting for the fact that the holiday season is like right around the corner. So truly, this is the time to take care of your brain, not only for the prevention of brain rot, but more importantly, to protect your mental health in general. And that's why I'm so happy to partner with this video sponsor, Growth Therapy. Now, before you look at me crazy being like, Rumi, a therapy sponsorship? Yes, hear me out, because Growth Therapy is a therapy service designed to fit your needs. And I know firsthand that therapy can be very life-changing. I've been in therapy for the past couple of years, and it's truly helped me manage my mental health. And with Growth Therapy, they offer therapy on your time, with bookings in as little as 2 days with appointments available on nights and weekends. And they have a roster of over 19,000 therapists, which are all licensed and vetted. And get this, are all able to be filtered by identity, gender, language, faith, and more, all specifically for your compatibility. And in my opinion, one of the best things about Growth Therapy is that they offer both virtual and in-person sessions, are subscription free, meaning you're only paying per session, and work with over 100+ insurance plans, as well as Medicaid in some states. And I know that money is one of the biggest barriers for people from starting therapy. So with Growth Therapy, sessions cost around $21 with insurance, with some even paying as little as $0 depending on their plan. Now, if you know me, then you know that therapy is not something that I play around with. So if you want to learn more about Growth Therapy, head to the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen somewhere here for a quicker way to get support and find a therapist. Thank you so much, Growth Therapy, for sponsoring this video. Let's get into talking more about the concept of quality art versus pure entertainment. Now, before we get started, I must preface this conversation with saying that I am not the ultimate purveyor of art. Okay? I am not Leonardo da Vinci, I am not Charlie XCX, I am not Anna Wintour, and I am certainly not Beyonce. Although people do say we favor. I love my reality TV, I watch shitty shows. You could see that by my channel's video history. Ooh, not sure if he's mentioned. I get hooked on algorithmic pop, like I go hard for golden, thin and gnarly, like it's math for a reason. Hell, I even enjoy some of the things that I critique on here. And I really think it's time we start to have a conversation about what content we find ourselves watching and truly making the distinction between fun content and good media, because I think we are conflating the two, and that is not the case. And I'm not saying that when you want to wind down, you gotta play a Boots Riley or a Jordan Peele movie, although those are all amazing watches. Like, I fully get the need for fun content to distract us from the matrix that we are all living in. Hell, there are even some of us that are caught up in all's fair. But again, I do think it's important to moderate or at least switch off the type of content that we're watching. As I mentioned in many videos before, a lot of these platforms get money from our attention. It's called the attention economy for a reason, okay? So it's really important to understand the value of it. If we become okay with accepting simple slop, then they're winning because it's better and cheaper for them to put that stuff out. And I'm not saying that art and entertainment are inherently one and the same, because they're not. But oftentimes, and especially in the recent past, there used to be a pretty overlapping Venn diagram. But each day we're kind of slowly pulling further away until we get to a point where we're just looking at two separate circles. In a quote from comedian Josh Johnson, "Art can save your life, but entertainment can never be your salvation. Entertainment, by and large, is escapism, and no one has ever escaped their chains by forgetting they were there." And that is a word. And this concept as a whole will remain the biggest difference between art and entertainment. I know oftentimes when art and entertainment comes into the public lexicon for critique and ridicule, a lot of people are quick to jump to like the whole like, oh, it's not that deep, or oh, you're looking too far into it, like, and kind of condemn the critical nature of art. And I do think there is some validity to that in the modern sphere of social media that we live in. I do think that we need to be critical of things, but sometimes I think that we are hyper-critical in a non-constructive way with a lot of the ways that we hold conversation and discourse online, especially on apps like Twitter, TikTok, and if you're on YouTube, where a lot of times with this discourse, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what's the end goal here? Like, what end result do we really want? And oftentimes there is none. It's just to chat. But on the flip side of that, there is still really a need for constructive art and entertainment critique, because that stuff is important to prevent us from just mindlessly consuming slop. And on the concept of slop, this is going to be a crazy transition, and please bear with me, okay? Hold my hand. Hold my little gay hand when I tell you this. But when we want to talk about slop, specifically in entertainment, specifically in pop music and mediocrity, we got to start the conversation off with katseye. Now, I told you to hold my hand. Don't let it go and don't click away. And before you scroll, come here. Before you get in the comments up in arms to defend these divas or to trash these divas, just know, we love katseye in this house. You hear me? We love katseye. Okay. You can go. And I'm not just saying that. I love Katseye. I love those girls. I'm trying to get tickets to their LA show. So if anyone from Team Katseye or anything is watching, I know they're coming like next week, so let's make it work. But also like don't listen to this next part because I'm about to boycott. Katseye, the group, are obviously very talented, hardworking, beautiful girls. And the mediocrity in question that I'm talking about when it comes to pop mediocrity and the group Katseye falls with their management and label. Woo! And if this is news to anyone, I'm sorry for killing the dream, but like these girls don't really write their own songs. So I'm truly not going after them in any way. They are perfect. And as I'm going to argue, are the reason that Katseye is what it is right now. It's like if it was any different group of girls that were of lower caliber or lower tier with what they have been given, they would not be as big or have the potential to be any bigger than they are right now. The girls themselves are carrying this group. And I'm not being critical of them. I am, however, being critical of the writers' room. Because we're the writers in the room with us. Like we have to admit the standard for their lyricism, especially in these recent songs, has been dismal. Like Gnarly, while I love that song, it's so campy and catchy and fun, and the dance was tea, can we say in all earnestness that the song itself was good?
Katseye's music isn't good. In fact, I think it's the only thing that isn't good about them. I think it's the only thing that's really holding them back. I know they had a big year anyway, but imagine how big their year could have been if they had more than 2.5 listenable songs and their lyrics didn't sound like they were written by the Glee cast.
Because again, this is not a straight to the girls themselves. Like you have a vocalist like Laura, who has an amazing range and amazing voice. Talk about some gang, 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 gang. Like what?
Gang, 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 gang.
Out here hollering in the studio on some woo! Like I think when it comes to lyrics, specifically with Katseye, I think the writers just be putting song titles in a random word generator and let that shit haywire because nothing is ever really being said. Like at this point, what's the point of Genius? Like, actually, I might have to reject that because looking at Gnarly's Genius page and looking at people grasping at straws to find deeper meaning in the song, like please, some of the buzzwords include satirical, consumerism, mocking the music industry. And I really hate to be that person, but like, I really don't think they were doing all that and was the intention. And you can definitely tell that's the case when the Katseye girls were asked to define what the song means to them. Them girls ain't know either. But again, I like the beat. I still be going hard to Gnarly. But to me, this all shows that at least on some level, people crave some kind of deeper meaning because they're searching for it. And at the very least are looking for meaning to justify their likes and dislikes. Like when it comes to Gnarly specifically, why did everyone I know have to brainwash themselves into liking it? Like I feel like this is how everyone who's ever introduced Gnarly to someone else is how they had to plead their case.
You're not gonna get the song the first time you hear it. After the second and third time, you're gonna be like, whoa, what is this?
Like even outside of Gnarly, I feel like this happens more often than ever for like artists and entertainment across the board. And in that sense, I feel like I've kind of done it to myself. Like maybe all of my niche interests shouldn't be a giant hear me out, but here we are. But getting back to Katseye, I hate to say it, but like Gnarly is only one of many such cases, especially recently, because Katseye's been getting a lot of discourse online over their newest song, Internet Girl. They've been debuting on tour. And one of the main lines or standout lines in the song is eat zucchini. Eat zucchini. With like the Genius lyric breakdown being like, they obviously mean it like the eggplant emoji innuendo because it's like vegetable neighbor. Like, did you warm up this morning? Because that logic is a stretch. Like I get it could still mean that and likely does mean that because of its phallic nature, but like vegetable neighbor?
So now that we've heard Internet Girl, eat zucchini, and it's now popular opinion that Katseye's writing and music has a problem, I just want to say I told you so. I remember when I released my original video on Katseye, like back when I first started this stuff, and I got dragged, called an anti, called everything, pig, loser, stupid. I was dragged because I said that I don't think they'll be able to outlast the like constant trending of the music industry if they don't put out meaningful music, and that their current music is very, very like bad. It's poorly written. The production sometimes is even not that great.
Then there's the whole lyric slop allegations with their song Tonight I Might. Like just listening to Daniela's verse in this is just very jarring because this really gives a sister sentence to what would you do if when you okay so he said yes would go.
What would you do if when you okay so he said yes would go?
Like let's do a little lyric breakdown right now. And again, no hate to Daniela, love her. But it goes, I know everyone around me doesn't move the same way, but it's kind of fun to be somebody different on the same day. And here we go. I'm not the perfect example of someone ready to handle the kind of party required to go fully inspired, but what is that? What does that mean? What are we talking about? And again, I have to reinforce, this is not some weird vendetta against katseye. I know they're absolute stars. I love them all, but what is this writing? One experimental song is fair, like just trying stuff out. But at this point, this is just a pattern. And again, when asked about these confusing at best lyrics, the writers have answered that like, they mean whatever you want them to mean. What the hell I mean? Like y'all don't want to hear it, but even the Swifties turned on Miss Swift this album season, claiming that that album doesn't hit like the others and that the lyricism definitely is not what it used to be. Like this obviously doesn't just apply to Taylor, but I think that artists and their teams are beginning to realize whether they make the effort to put out something good or not, fans will still accept the slop en masse and will engage, will stream, and will buy.
Whenever Swifties say that they just need to listen to the album like 3 or 4 times and then they'll start to like that's not liking an album, baby, that's Stockholm Syndrome. The first time I listened to Red, the first time I listened to 1989, I loved it. I didn't have to listen to it multiple times to love it. It was good, so I loved it. My first listen through of Fine Line by Harry Styles was transformative. I loved it immediately. My first listen to of Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter was phenomenal on the first listen. I understand some songs just take longer for you to understand the true meaning, but it doesn't take 2 or 3 listens of a song for you to like it. Like, you know if you like a song, honestly on your first listen, like you guys sound like victims. This is Stockholm Syndrome. This is not, it's not a good album. Can we just, it's okay to not like a Taylor Swift album. It's okay.
Like from here on out, if your fave not making sense anymore, just say that they're exhibiting Dadaist qualities. Now is a little interlude and another addition to the content slot pipeline that we have been on as of late. We gotta quickly talk about All Spare. I'm sorry. Like content slop does not just exist in the music industry. This is truly happening across entertainment. And the decline of TV and film has been noted for a while now. Of course, this isn't to say that movies and shows right now are all bad. It just seems that more of the bad, even if it's fun to watch, media is being proliferated, or at least being shoved down our throats. And thus we mention All Spare, a show that is just so bad that you can't look away. And this isn't just me saying this. Like top critics gave it a 0%. And yes, all critics gave it a total of 3%. But are we really fighting for that rating? Like, is it really worth it? If you haven't seen this show, the best way I can describe it is if it was like a TikTok vertical that got like scaled back to regular TV. Literally in the opening before the time card, it has a 10-year time jump within like 1 minute. And like, speaking of jump, tactless, I know. Kind of just like how they treated the self-unaliving scene. It's just crazy how like someone jumps off a building and they like never mention it again. Like they might have just like grazed past it in like a throwaway line, but for the rest of the show, they kind of spend more time showing interiors than they did covering something as traumatizing as witnessing a shoe from their office building. Like it just feels very disconnected and desensitized to most of the heavy topics at hand. Like a throwaway line about how Sarah Paulson's character used to be a like so far, at least they haven't addressed it again. Like it really seems like they're taking a book out of 13 Reasons Why, and the fact that they're just trying to overwhelm and like trauma dump to try and grasp our little iPad baby attention spans with fast cuts, even quicker storylines, no character exploration or character development, insensitive and desensitized trauma-written plot points, crazy outfits, Kim Kardashian seemingly always wet, slick back hair, and the bougie interiors and cars. Did I mention that Kim Kardashian's in it? Again, this isn't to blame you all if you're watching it, because I'm about to go play the latest episode. I will be tuning in. But the question is, in a few months, are we going to remember the show? Does it have rewatch value outside of maybe the memes that spawn from it? Artistic value? It seems more and more, especially streaming platform original shows, feel this way. And it's really disappointing to see what's getting greenlit and what money is being poured into, especially considering their insane amount of executive producers. Like we know with this show specifically, it's like a vanity project, but it got so much marketing and press. Whew. Like I've said this before, but as a public, our power is in our dollar and in our attention. And if we, including me, give our attention to slop content, then slop content is what we're going to get. Now the question is this all prepping our brains for an AI slop future? You know I had to slip in the AI critique, I'm sorry. But like we do need to talk about the hidden AI slop that has been infiltrating our social media. Like I don't know why this isn't bigger news and why more people aren't catching on to the fact that it's infiltrated all aspects of our entertainment. But according to a Futurism article, over 50% of Reddit articles on the internet are AI generated, which is an insane number already. But even more insane is that there is yet to be a number on how many videos, images, or just content in general is AI. And I've been noticing more and more content slop on social media, more than ever actually, which is really really hard to believe considering that Facebook has been on that wave forever. There seems to be this proliferation of videos across social media, but mostly on TikTok that I've been seeing this, from seemingly bot accounts that rip an original video from a human creator and post it on their page with either a seemingly AI person reacting to it, or have the original creator's video overlaid by an obviously AI video in the background. And the purpose of this is, I actually genuinely have no clue, but it does seem that some of these videos have been getting high engagement, or at least high views, which is taking away money and revenue from creators who posted the original video, and scamming viewers into engaging with AI content without really knowing that it's AI content. But I'm seeing this more and more no matter how many times I'm clicking not interested in this content. I am still getting the occasional AI video or Sora watermark. And what is indefinitely more sneaky are the AI audios. Like there was that one Brazilian funk song that turned out to be an AI generated remix of like a very real song from the 80s. And like the YouTube video alone has amassed over 5.7 million views in 4 months. So I truly can't imagine how many streams it has, including all platforms. And like just thinking out loud here, like does the original artist get sample rights or like royalties? Like is there legislation against this yet or no? And TikTok is not the only one sneaking TikTok audios in without disclosing that they're AI generated. There's even AI music being put into playlists and radios on platforms like Spotify. Like we first heard about this on Bingetopia's episode around streaming services. I think the episode's called Regime of Convenience, which I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. But my researcher noted that she actually experienced this firsthand recently, saying that she was playing her usual autumnal vintage jazz and heard a song that felt soulless, spiritual, if you will. And she went to the artist's profile, and as she suspected, it was an AI band. Like people have been saying online that Spotify is being flooded with like music made by nobody. Like usually just instrumentals that are mixed in like chill, peaceful mix playlists. Like the typical background music that no one's paying attention to. But like that must feel so jarring to experience. Like a betrayal almost, because like there is no content disclaimer or even mention of AI on the page. You just kind of have to use discernment because these platforms are not doing it for you, unfortunately. In a statement by a Spotify representative to NPR, in response to questions about whether Spotify has considered implementing a detection or labeling system to music created with AI, as well as what challenges might arise from doing that, a Spotify spokesperson did not confirm or deny the possibility. Spotify doesn't police the tools artists use in their creative process. We believe artists and producers should be in control. With the spokesperson going further to say in a written statement, our platform policies focus on how music is presented to listeners, and we actively work to protect against deception, impersonation, and spam. Content that misleads listeners, infringes on artists' rights, or abuses the platform will be penalized or taken down. And I honestly think the toughest part of a lot of this whole conversation of AI is that it feels like a constant battle. But on the flip side, almost an inevitability because companies keep sneaking AI into almost every experience online without your consent. Like you really can't search anything natively on Google without Gemini answering at the top. You can't go to Popeyes without occasionally having to talk to an AI assistant to take your order. And now, you can't listen to a playlist without getting random AI generated music, and you can't watch a YouTube video now without having an AI describe it to you. Like it feels like companies and corporations are trying to trick us into consuming as much AI as possible undetected. So it manufactures this consent to it when they push things further later on. And obviously this is all easier said than done to like just not use any of these things. But if any of y'all got any better AI-free alternatives to any of these platforms or services, please drop them down below. And of course, we're not done with AI music slop. The most egregious here being the debut of certain AI musicians. Yes, you heard that right, AI musicians. There's actually a very popular one. I don't know if you know her or not, and I don't know if I'm saying its name right. Zania Monet, the R&B artist that was taking the R&B charts by storm, as well as Timbaland's AI music company. Crazy words you never thought would be together. And I think when it comes to Timbaland, it's just crazy that the man who crafted the music of a lifetime doesn't really care to put in the time, effort, and resources, which he definitely has, into new, exciting, young, real artists, but would rather put that energy into AI musicians. Right. Like, what are we doing here? Like, wasn't AI supposed to be doing the boring stuff? Like, obviously, for many reasons, the possible future of an AI entertainment can seem very grim and bleak, and could be its own separate video, but we're trying to do Love and Light for the holiday season. So I guess we'll move forward. But with all that said, maybe asking like, okay, Remy, you're saying all of these different examples of like arguable slop. Why does it matter? And honestly, that's the question. Like, it only matters if you make it matter. Like, word to Wendy Williams. Like, do we care? Clap if you care if it's AI generated. Right.
Clap if you care. All right, let's move on.
Did you clap? I hope you clapped. Because I'm scared that a lot of people in this world would not be clapping. My point here with all this is that us lowering our standards for content and media in general, with and for this propensity for fun and seemingly nonsensical content, can actually be harmful. I fear that companies are always testing the limits to see what we find acceptable, what they can get away with, and that's slowly leading us down the path that smooths our brains out to the point where we're just okay with consuming AI slop. Because the second we become okay with it and accept it, is the same second that these companies will accept that and do even more. Like if it generates the same engagement, attention, and money, why would these companies pour money into something something worthwhile when they could just feed us AI slop like pigs in a trough for pennies on the dollar. It's a lot less money, brainpower, and manpower, aka jobs, for them. Like, I don't know how else to say it without sounding conspiratorial, but like, they want us dumb. And like, of course, if you don't believe me and you don't care at that point, I have to include the MIT study that made headlines not too long ago about the impacts of AI, more specifically ChatGPT, on our brains. To get a little analytical, the study divided 54 subjects ranging from ages 18 to 39-year-olds from the Boston area into 3 groups, and they asked them to write several SAT essays using OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google search engine, and nothing at all, respectively. Researchers used an EEG to record the writer's brain activity across 32 regions and found that of the 3 groups, ChatGPT users had the lowest brain engagement and consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels over the course of several months. ChatGPT users got lazier with each subsequent essay, often resorting to copy and paste by the end of the study. And then while there aren't studies yet about how specifically AI content can impact our brains, it's coming. Although I do think that there's a study specifically on how brain rot affects the brain. And shocker, it does exactly what the name suggests. But given the increased use of AI and how it functions to smoothen out our brains, so to speak, we get lazier and lazier with our critical thinking and personal decision-making skills. And of course, why does this matter? This is better for the larger companies if we care less and less about the quality of content that we consume. Now you're gonna be asking, Rumi, that's cool. How do we spot AI content then if we want to avoid this content, or at least know that it's happening? Well, AI has come a long way from the Will Smith spaghetti incident, and AI keeps progressing at an exponential rate, meaning that it's going to become even harder and harder to spot the differences. Also meaning it's going to be even harder to make the conscious effort to either avoid or detect said content. But in the meantime, we at least got to try to keep our detection skills sharp. And there are actually whole content creators who educate their audience on how to spot the ever-evolving and insanely realistic AI content out right now. And one creator who makes consistent content about this is the creator Jeremy Carrasco. And he has tons of videos that give updated tips on how to spot AI and debunking current videos. And he also has this other great video about how to frame the current reality of AI slop.
Can you even spend time online without losing your grip on reality? A lot of our time is spent on the For You page. It's not great because we can't scrutinize everything for AI. It's exhausting. So to help us out, let's divide our content by trust. The For You feed, or Shorts feed, is where the biggest change needs to happen. Here, assume that nothing is real anymore. If you find something you really like, you should follow the page, and you need to decide if you can trust them. Figure out if they are an engager or a creator. For example, meme or ragebait or slop accounts, basically anyone who's just playing the algorithm to get influence or money, those are the accounts that I call engagers. They aren't just AI creators, by the way, but they are more likely to use it. Creators, like artists or musicians, teachers, and a lot of influencers rely on authenticity for engagement, so they're a bit less likely to use AI, or at least they should be honest about it. So vet creators. I vet them all the time. That's my thing. And when I do it, I don't just look at one photo or one tweet or a single video because AI can get lucky. So you need to vet at least a few posts throughout their history to decide if you can trust them. And then there are news outlets or anywhere that's providing you critical information. Here you need a ton of trust, so only follow outlets that publicly verify their sources.
So yeah, the state of content right now is absolute madness. While the concept of Dadaism serves as a good reference to have when it comes to things like memes and art and where we're at right now, I wouldn't say that the seemingly meaningless content or media that we're getting fits that definition entirely. I think we're honestly getting content that just generally lacks integrity or quality, because the people at the top, the powers that be if you will, know inherently by our behaviors thus far that we're kind of down to accept anything. And we as consumers have to be aware of the standard that we're setting when it comes to consuming mediocre at best content. Even if it is fun, and again, this isn't me saying that we have to kill fun, like we have to stop having fun and stop engaging with meaningless stuff just for the fun or just because it's fun. No, we still can and should do that, especially in these times. I'm saying that we have to make a better distinction at what is fun and what is slop, because they're not sisters, they're cousins. Because at the end of the day, the more we're willing to accept, the more companies and productions will just feed us more and more slop. And we know they aren't above cheaping out and giving us that real low quality AI slop. Like, we really just gotta get better at distinguishing what's good content, bad content, or what's just meant for entertainment purposes. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Grow Therapy for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check them out through the link in the description. Peace.